It's 5:30 p.m. right here in Lagos, Nigeria, and it's time for the world today. I'm Anne Nwawado. Here are the top stories. No formal trade agreement following U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping meeting in South Korea. Clashes erupt in Douala after police allegedly shot a man dead at point-blank range, sparking anger and renewed protest. Death toll rises to more than 24 across the Caribbean following Hurricane Melissa's devastation. And you're here. Let's begin the world today. The U.S. President Donald Trump and his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping have met for the first time in 6 years, raising hopes for a de-escalation of tensions between the two world powers. President Trump described the talks held in South Korea as amazing, while President Beijing also said that they had reached a consensus to resolve major trade issues. The relations between both countries have been very tense since President Trump began imposing tariffs on China, which Beijing responded to with its own. They now agreed to the truce in the month of May, but then tensions remained high. According to local media, today's talks did not lead to a formal agreement, but the announcement suggests they are closer to a deal. However, one key win for President Trump is that China has agreed to suspend export control measures it had placed on rare earths, crucial for the production of everything from smartphones to fighter jets.
Distinguished and respected President of China, and we will be having some discussions. We've already agreed to a lot of things, and we'll agree to some more right now. But President Xi is a great leader, a great country, and I think we're going to have a fantastic relationship for a long period of time.
Over now to Paris, where 5 more suspects have been arrested in connection with the Louvre jewelry heist. Well, according to the Paris Republic prosecutor, Laura Becco, the arrests were made in Paris region, and the group includes one main suspect identified through DNA traces left at the crime scene, who was detained during coordinated raids across different parts of the capital. Shortly before these latest arrests, she revealed that 2 other men detained over the weekend had partially admitted their involvement in the robbery. Items worth an estimated €88 million were stolen from the world's most visited museum on October the 19th, when 4 thieves broke into the building in broad daylight. In the meantime, as the number of arrests climbs to 7, none of the priceless era jewelry has yet been recovered. U.S. President Donald Trump has called on the country's military leaders to resume testing nuclear weapons in order to keep pace with rivals like Russia and China. President Trump made this remark on his social media platform shortly before meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping in South Korea. According to him, the United States possesses more nuclear weapons than any other country, with Russia ranking second and China a distant third. The U.S. has not conducted nuclear tests since 1992. And the statement is coming just days after President Trump criticized Russia for allegedly testing a nuclear-powered missile. But the Kremlin has denied that claim, saying its tests were not nuclear. Meanwhile, the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Grossi, has stressed that Iran does not appear to be actively enriching uranium, but the agency has recently detected renewed movement at the country's nuclear sites. Speaking ahead of the IAEA's 2024 annual report to the United Nations General Assembly, Mr. Grossi emphasized that the agency is in ongoing discussions with Tehran. However, not conducting inspections at every facility due to security disputes. He also adds that while Tehran has reaffirmed its commitment to non-proliferation treaty, its willingness to grant full agency access remains not as forthcoming as it should be.
When it comes to Iran and our work, there's a sort of a pattern that when something happens, a resolution is approved somewhere here or in Vienna. Normally, Iran has replied by reducing their cooperation with the IAEA. This is something I regret, and I have said repeatedly to our Iranian counterparts that should not be the case. Really, and this is again a case where the snapback was activated, if we can call it like that. Iran responded by saying that they would be looking at the cooperation with us. I should say, however, that they reiterated their disposition, the willingness, and their conviction to remain within the regime, the non-proliferation regime. Of course, there's a lot that could be said in terms of the real cooperation, but I think it's a very wise step to say we do not leave the NPT. You said whether we have any knowledge that they are continuing to develop nuclear weapons. No, they are not, and they were not. I want to be very clear on this, because we are often misquoted about this, and people say that we say things that we never said. Right on the contrary. Whereas we have said, and I repeat it today, that the cooperation has not been as forthcoming as it should be. We said in our last report, in our June report, that is often mentioned as something of a trigger for things that happen. In that report, for those who care to read it, which would be perhaps an interesting thing to do before talking about a report, we said clearly that Iran did not have a program. But that's that. On the other thing, yes, I will be a candidate for the position of Secretary General. It's not secret, and I think it shouldn't be. We are not inspecting the struck or the stricken sites, Natanz, Isfahan, and Fordow, to be very, very clear. We are in discussion with Iran. They are arguing that for security reasons there should be a discussion on how this is going to be done, but one cannot say that there is not, we are not having a conversation. And I think in terms of what we are seeing, we're not seeing anything relevant that would give, this is the reason of how I answered to your colleague this morning, we do not see anything that would give rise to hypothesis of any substantive work going on there.
Well, let's shift focus now to Cameroon, where opposition leader Issa Chiroma has vowed to continue rejecting the October 12 presidential election results until he secures what he calls a final victory over incumbent President Paul Biya. In his post published on social media, Mr. Chiroma accused state institutions of using their power to impose their candidate, warning that their impunity is coming to an end. He also asked his supporters not to give up, saying that they have a unique opportunity to say enough is enough. He further announced a new phase of mobilization tagged, "Let them rejoice, let them dance. This has only just begun," adding that a third step is coming very soon. In the meantime, clashes have erupted in Cameroonian's economic capital, Douala, after a man was allegedly shot dead by police at point-blank range, sparking anger and renewed protest over the country's disputed presidential election. This shooting occurred outside the residence of Yerima Dewa, where unarmed civilians had gathered. Witnesses say the victim had gone out to buy bread when a police van stopped nearby. They claim a soldier stepped out and opened fire, killing the man instantly. Residents say the man, a father of several children, had not eaten for 2 days amid the ongoing unrest, describing the killing as cold-blooded and senseless. The streets of Douala remain strewn with debris, armored vehicles patrolling residential areas amid the country's ongoing political crisis. And according to the Cameroon Human Rights Committee, at least 3 people have been killed and dozens others injured since the protest began earlier this week. Let's discuss this further. Joining us now is Cameroonian activist Chris Anu. Thank you very much for joining us on The World Today.
Thank you, Anne.
Yeah, there's so much. You're welcome. There is so much fear on ground as we speak as regards the clampdown on protesters and anyone deemed connected to the opposition leader, Issa Chiroma. But what are you hearing as regards the situation in Cameroon at the moment, and what are your sources telling you?
Where the situation continues to degenerate, starting from the date of the proclamation of the elections up to the moment as we speak. The situation continues to degenerate on the ground, and there are no indications that this is going to be quelled at any moment. Chiroma is very determined to keep the victory that he believes the people gave him on October 12th. And the people themselves are tired. They are tired that the same regime that has ruled them for 42 years wants to rule once more for another 7 years. So what I'm hearing from the ground is that there is determination to kick out the regime of Paul Biya once and for all out of Cameroon.
And now, is it possible that this is how President Biya intends to lead the country in what might likely actually be his final term, considering his age?
Well, Biya doesn't have a final term. His final term is over. It was last day. It ended on October 12th. The opposition, led by Issa Chiroma and his coalition called the Union for Change, plus the Cameroonian people, as we see out there on the street, they are bent on ejecting Paul Biya from continuing as president of Cameroon. And there are calls out there for Issa Chiroma to do what happened in Cote d'Ivoire when Alassane Ouattara kicked out Gbagbo when he refused to leave. The same thing was in the Gambia when Yahya Jammeh refused to leave. The opposition installed themselves, took an oath out there in Senegal. You have a similar case in Madagascar. So right now, the appeal is for Issa Chiroma to take an oath and formally declare himself the leader of Cameroon. So I don't see Biya living another term. Absolutely not. If Chiroma should yield to these calls and declare himself, gets sworn in as president of Cameroon, Biya, it is over. It is over for Biya.
But are there legal pathways that Chiroma can actually explore to express his grievances if he wants to go the legal way?
Absolutely no, not in Cameroon. The chair of the Constitutional Council, right after proclaiming Biya winner of the elections through a party where he was asking members of the ruling party to congratulate him for giving them, for doing them the favor of declaring the elections in favor of Biya. Now, in Cameroon, you got to understand that the court is Biya. Every legal apparatus in that country is Biya. So there is no way Issa Chiroma can find justice in any court system in the country. So the only option he has is maybe cut off the country, start ruling from the three regions in the north, from Ngaoundé to Marowa, and the rest of the country will fall under him. Then you would have handicapped the power, the legitimacy that Paul Biya claims.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Chris Anu, a Cameroonian activist, and thanks a lot for your time and your contribution on the world today. We'll definitely see how this goes from here.
Thank you for having me.
Still ahead on the world today. As the world gears up for the 2026 World Cup, football fans in Mexico's western city of Guadalajara are already treated to an expected surprise as official mascot takes over the town square. Please join us again. Welcome back, everyone. Hurricane Melissa has continued its devastating sweep across the Caribbean, destroying homes, flooding neighborhoods, and leaving dozens dead. Authorities have reported extensive infrastructure damage, major service and operation disruptions, and severe economic losses. However, the Jamaican government has declared a state of emergency, requesting international assistance. Earlier this week, Hurricane Melissa made landfall in Jamaica as a Category 5 storm, reaching winds of up to 295 km per hour, becoming the most powerful hurricane ever recorded on the island. In the meantime, at least 49 people have been killed across the Caribbean, most of them in Haiti, where several buildings collapsed in the south region following the overflow of a major river. Meanwhile, the United Nations resident coordinator in Jamaica, Dennis Zulu, has said the Hurricane Melissa has caused unprecedented devastation across its path in the country, calling for international community to support.
From what we know thus far, there's been tremendous, unprecedented devastation of infrastructure, of property, roads, network connectivity, energy has been lost across its path. But what is very unique is that the impact of Melissa, though very dire in this area, has actually spread across the country. There's been massive dislocation of services. We have people living in shelters across the country. And at the moment, what we are seeing in preliminary assessments is a country that's been devastated to levels never seen before. So at the moment, the United Nations is working in partnership with the national authorities and indeed other partners, both the bilateral and multilateral partners, to really undertake the first assessment of the extent of the problem and see how we can respond expeditiously to alleviating those who are in need at the moment, which is a huge number, although we don't actually have actual figures, but we estimate to be a very large number.
And back here in Nigeria, as the nation joins the rest of the world to mark the 2025 World Stroke Day, neurologists and stroke specialists are calling on Nigerians to dismiss the long-held belief that stroke is a mysterious or spiritual affliction. They stress that stroke is a medical emergency that can be prevented, detected early, and treated when people seek prompt care. The experts made this call in Owerri, the Imo State capital, during a public awareness walk to commemorate the 2025 World Stroke Day, emphasizing the need for regular health checks, healthy lifestyle habits, and early response to warning signs.
World Stroke Day, a global reminder of the need for awareness and early action. In Owerri, Imo State, neurologists and other medical professionals take their message to the streets, holding a sensitization rally to debunk the long-held myth that stroke is a spiritual attack or the result of unseen forces. Dressed in branded T-shirts and carrying awareness banners, participants march under this year's theme, "Every minute counts, you can't delay." They say stroke remains one of the leading causes of death and disability across sub-Saharan Africa. Yet with early detection and proper treatment, it is both manageable and preventable.
The theme this year says every minute counts. Every minute of stroke counts. You can't delay. There are things you need to do. You can revert the disability and even convert or revert from death, because stroke is known as the leading cause of disability and death in our country or in sub-Sahara. So it is good for people to know everything about stroke, what they can do, the signs of stroke, the prevention, and what you can do if you should have a stroke. This is what we are here today to propagate.
They explain the signs to watch for and emphasizes the importance of immediate medical attention.
For the man on the street, number one thing I would tell the man on the street is that stroke is not juju, it's a medical illness. And it's as a result of usually a blood clot in the brain, and it's sometimes bleeding in the brain that deprives a part of the brain blood flow and leading to loss of function or disability. We have a mnemonic, we say be fast, where B, it's talking about loss of balance. When somebody suddenly experiences loss of balance. E refers to loss of vision, and a sudden loss of vision, either one part of the vision or both part of the vision. F represents facial weakness. Facial weakness. A represents arm or leg weakness on one side or both sides. These things occur almost instantaneously.
It notes that 1 in every 4 people is at risk of stroke in their lifetime, but maintaining healthy habits can significantly reduce that risk.
Whether you like it or not, 1 in 4 of us will have a stroke during our lifetime. That means Anywhere you are, if you count 1, 2, 3, 4 people, one of us will have a stroke. Therefore, it is real. It is something you need to change, and you can make a difference by reducing those things that put you at risk of stroke.
As the world marks World Stroke Day 2025, medical experts are urging everyone to recognize symptoms, act fast, and share the message that stroke is not a spiritual attack, it is a treatable medical emergency, and when stroke strikes, every minute truly counts. Eyitope Kusayi, Channels Television News.
And as we close the program, football fans in Mexico's western city of Guadalajara have been treated to an unexpected surprise when FIFA's official mascot for next year's World Cup took over the town square. Fans met Maple the moose, Zayu the jaguar, and Clutch the bald eagle, FIFA's official mascots for next year's World Cup, which will be hosted by the United States, Mexico, and Canada. Officially unveiled in September, FIFA said that in a statement, the mascots were developed to reflect the vibrant culture, heritage, and spirit of their respective countries, coming together to symbolize unity, diversity, and the shared passion for a beautiful game. As the world gears up for the 2026 World Cup, which kicks off in July, these three characters will play a central role in promoting the tournament, engaging the fans, and building excitement across continents.
No, apenas estamos ahí.
And that's it on the World Today for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu.